It's crazy, man.
Welcome, everyone. I'm going to call the October 14th Special City Council meeting to order. We're having a public hearing this evening on AB 7862, consideration to oppose initiative number 976 concerning motor vehicle taxes and fees. It's a November 2019 ballot item. And I have Assistant to the City Administrator, Autumn Monahan, here today to make a presentation. Welcome, Autumn.
Thank you very much, Mayor. So tonight I'll be providing a brief presentation on Initiative 976, prior to a public hearing and any council action on taking a position to support or oppose the ballot measure. As background, the Washington State Constitution reserves the power for individuals to propose legislation via an initiative. Initiatives can be proposed directly to the people through a ballot measure, or to the state legislature. When an initiative is sent to the legislature, it may either adopt the initiative, reject or refuse to act on the proposed initiative, which means it's then placed on the ballot, or propose a different measure dealing with the same subject and place both measures on the ballot. 976 was filed as an initiative to the legislature for consideration during the 2019 legislative session. The legislature took no action on the initiative, so will be presented to voters during the next general election. Ballots will be mailed out on October 16th. The initiative requires a simple majority to pass. If passed, the new law cannot be amended for 2 years, except with a 2/3 supermajority vote by the legislature. A quick note, this slide is updated from what you've seen in your packet, and it reflects the certified ballot measure language. According to the Association of Washington Cities, or AWC, passing 976 would have the following impacts: repealing the authority for city transportation benefit districts, or TBDs, to impose a vehicle license fee, or car tab, lowering car tab fees to $30, eliminating the 0.3% sales tax on vehicle purchases, lowering the electric vehicle, snowmobile, and commercial trailer fees, and modifying and reducing Sound Transit motor vehicle excise tax provisions. The State Office of Financial Management conducted their estimates on the financial impacts using 2018 actual revenues. Estimates include $1.9 billion in revenue lost to the state and $2.3 billion in revenue lost to Sound Transit. While the horizon for the forecast ends in 2025, the impacts would continue beyond this time frame. There are 62 transportation benefit districts in the state that collect a car tab fee. While Issaquah has created a TBD, it has not imposed any vehicle license fees or car tabs. It is important to note that while passage of 976 would permanently remove any future ability for the TBD to impose vehicle license fees, the ability to impose a 0.2 sales tax increment for transportation would not be affected by this initiative. So for financial impacts, the state is estimated to have $1.9 billion less in revenues for 9 accounts, the largest of which is its multimodal account, which funds all modes of transportation projects, including public transportation, rail, and bicycle pedestrian projects. Locally, these are the 3 projects currently identified in the city's Capital Improvement Plan, or CIP, that notes potential state grants for funding in the next 3 years. If the initiative passes, the legislature and state agencies would have to reprioritize projects, meaning an increased risk for these local projects that they may not receive state funding. They include the 12th Avenue Northwest and SR 900 intersection, frontage improvements at Tibbetts Valley Park, and a sidewalk along 2nd Avenue. Meanwhile, King County estimates that approximately $119 million in metro services across the county, including rapid ride services, paratransit services, van pools, and $4 million in services on county-maintained roads, would be jeopardized by the passage of 976. The motor vehicle excise tax, which provides revenues for Sound Transit, would also be affected if the initiative passed. This tax is charged upon purchase or annual renewal of a new or used car. It is calculated using a formula based on the vehicle manufacturer's suggested retail price, or MSRP, and a depreciation schedule based on the age of the vehicle. The revenues are used to pay for the debt service on the bonds that fund Sound Transit construction projects. If the initiative passes, Sound Transit would be required to refinance or retire MVET finance bonds early if the bond contracts allow, and the authority to impose the MVET fees would then be repealed. Meanwhile, the maximum rate of future voter-approved MVETs would be reduced from 0.8% to 0.2%. The measure would also require that any future vehicle taxes, including voter-approved MVETs, be determined by using a vehicle's base model Kelley Blue Book value. So what does this mean for Sound Transit? The fiscal impact of 976 to Sound Transit would be approximately $20 billion through 2041, which is the planned completion of the ST3 voter-approved projects. If the initiative passes, the Sound Transit Board of Directors would need to start as early as 2020 to curtail the program by delaying or canceling projects. Specific ST3 project impacts are still unknown. Related to Issaquah, light rail is on the ST3 package, slated toward the end at 2041. State law generally restricts use of public resources in election activities. However, the City Council, at an open meeting, may vote on a resolution to support or oppose a ballot measure. This requires appropriate notice and equal opportunity for viewpoints at a public hearing. And with that, I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Council member questions for Autumn? Councilmember Goodman.
Thank you. Autumn, can you go, there's a slide you have in here that says no impact to Issaquah TBD.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Can you explain that a little more, that we do not currently impose a car tab? And so I don't really understand the slide. So if 976 passes, the ability, that tool would be eliminated. So tell me more about the option, still they have the option for the 0.2 sales tax increment.
So we have created the Issaquah TBD, and you can take several options with that format. And one is to employ car tabs, which would not be allowed if this initiative passed. Another, which the ad hoc finance committee in Issaquah has been discussing, is the 0.2% sales tax for transportation projects, and that is not impacted by this initiative.
Okay, so it's just the car tabs part
Yes.
that would be eliminated.
Exactly.
Great, thanks.
Any other questions for Autumn while she's up there? Great. Thank you, Autumn. I'm going to get you to pick up the list of those that signed up to speak while I go over a few short comments about the next part of our process. So we're going to move into the public hearing portion of the meeting, and the guidelines for public participation are displayed on the screen. State law requires that the City Council provide an equal opportunity for those in support of and opposed to the initiative to make comments before voting to support or oppose a ballot measure. Since there is a budget meeting occurring at 7 p.m. tonight, we will be limiting each side in support of and opposed to no more than 10 minutes each. This time can be used by an individual or multiple individuals for a total of 10 minutes. So Autumn, how many individuals have signed up to speak in support of Initiative 976?
5. In support. Oh, I'm sorry, against the initiative.
Okay. They're like, really? Okay, in support of? None?
None.
Okay. Is there anyone here this evening that would like to speak in support of the initiative? Calling for a second time? Last time. Is there anyone here this evening that would like to speak in support of the initiative? Hearing none. How many individuals have signed up to speak in opposition to Initiative 976?
5.
5, thank you. So we will be providing 2 minutes each for the speakers, and if you choose to cede your time, you have a total time of 10 minutes amongst the group to speak. So according to the sign-up list, who do we have up first?
Representative Bill Ramos.
Thank you. So those in the audience that would like to show support for the comments of a speaker, please do so by raising your hand. And I'm going to now open the public hearing at 6:41. Representative Ramos.
Hi, thank you, Council and Mayor. I represent Bill Ramos of the 5th District, right here where we're standing. And just like to talk about 976 and why it should be a no vote. Right now, almost every constituent I talk to is complaining about transportation and traffic issues. The reason that is, I believe, is approximately 20 years ago, we had a similar initiative to this on a $30 car tab that did pass. And that set us back these 20 years on our transportation program. And we're just trying to start to catch up now. This initiative, if it passed, would set us back another 20 years, and we would not be able to work on all the transportation projects we're trying to catch up on now that I'm hearing clearly from everybody that we really need to work on that. So I'm encouraging a no vote, and I'll cede the rest of my time to my fellow representative. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Ramos. Next on the list.
Representative Lisa Callan.
Hello and thank you. I'm Representative Lisa Callan from the 5th Legislative District and a resident of here, Issaquah. And thank you for letting me come. And I'd like to also encourage a no vote on Initiative 976. And Autumn did a fabulous job presenting all of the numbers and the fiscal impacts that are here. And every number that I'm hearing is also exactly the same numbers that Autumn hears. That's good. We're all using the same numbers. And the impact is dramatic. And it's dramatic not only for the residents of Issaquah, but also for the unincorporated areas and across the state. So making sure that we're holding all of the work that we need to do, which is one of the #1 priorities in the 5th Legislative District, and certainly I know here in the city of Issaquah, is our transportation issues and bottlenecks. This is not going to make it any easier. You've heard the numbers, and you heard, I have other colleagues that are here, so I just wanted to make sure that you knew from my perspective and everywhere that we look at it, whether it's school buses, whether it's, which is my background from a school board background and in the K-12 and Human Services Early Learning Capital Committee, we know that this is going to be devastating. So thank you, and again, I encourage a no vote.
Thank you, Representative Callan. And next on the list.
Senator Mark Mullet.
Good evening. For the record, I am Mark Mullet, representing the Issaquah community in the state Senate. And in 2015, I actually had the ability to vote for the transportation package that increased these weight fees on vehicles above the $30 tabs in the Senate. And it was a bipartisan bill, passed with Republicans and Democrats supporting the legislation in 2015 on the transportation package. And I voted no on a lot of tax proposals during my time in Olympia and in this chamber we're in now. And the reason I voted yes on the transportation package is you cannot make the puzzle work. Like, I vote no on taxes when you can make the jigsaw puzzle fit during your current revenue stream. We cannot solve this region's transportation problems if we take away the revenue streams that were part of this 2015 transportation package. And this is what the initiative is proposing to do. So if you end up in a situation where your traffic sucks, so you add revenue to try to solve that challenge, and now somebody's saying, let's take that revenue away, and anybody who thinks that's not going to cripple the ability for this entire region to move around is living in la la land. So I'm definitely out to encourage everyone to not only hopefully do a no vote tonight in this chamber from the council, but start talking to your friends. I mean, these ballots are showing up in a week. And so the more I think everybody can try to spread the word that do not get lured into this false sense of lowering car tabs is going to make your life better. It's going to make your life worse. Getting home from wherever you work at is going to become a nightmare. And I definitely encourage everyone to vote no, both here and amongst their friends. Thanks.
Thank you, Senator Mullet. It's very rare that anybody uses the word la la land when they're addressing us, but it does make it fun. Who else is on the list, Autumn?
Skip Rowley.
Skip Rowley, 1595 Northwest Gilman. I'm not going to repeat all of the things that Mark said because he's absolutely correct. You don't need to hear it again. But one thing I'd like to point out on the Transportation Benefit District, that it takes away an option of the future that you may need someday, maybe not today, but someday, and you want to maintain all of your options. one of the things that I know that we're not supposed to be discussing necessarily as part of this initiative, but all of the people that would be put out of work as a result of this by canceling projects and by stretching out projects, there's going to be a big effect there. Finally, I'm probably the only person in this room that knows Tim Iman. And Iman is not doing this because he thinks your car tabs should be $30. Iman is doing it strictly for the buck. He needs the money for this part of it. So I thought I'd just throw that little part out too. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Rowley. Is there anyone else on the list, Autumn?
Yes, Christy Triple.
Come on up, Christy.
Good evening, Mayor Pauley and council members. Thanks for the opportunity. I'm Christy Triple with Raleigh Properties. I'm also speaking as a community member. I would also vote in opposition, and with all those who spoke before me. We have worked by far too hard as a community and as a region to improve our transportation, our multimodal options, and how we help serve our residents and businesses. And so to lose this opportunity to continue that momentum that we've worked so hard for would really be a real travesty. So I encourage vote no and help educate your neighbors and friends, because it's not as simple as it might seem on the ballot measure. Thank you.
Thank you. Autumn, is there anyone else who signed up this evening?
No.
And the amount of time remaining?
5 minutes.
I just want to check again to see if there's anyone here this evening who did not get a chance to speak, because there is time remaining on the con side, speaking against. Any interest? Anyone else wishing to speak? Any last call? Council, would you like to continue the hearing or close it? Council President Mertz?
I move to close the hearing.
Thank you.
Second.
If I need a second, not entirely sure, but good, we got one. Then we'll close the public hearing at 6:48. And is there someone who would like to make a motion? Council President Mertz.
Madam Mayor, I move to approve resolution number.
And we're looking that up for you.
2019-13.
Opposing initiative measure number 976 concerning motor vehicle taxes and fees.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any council discussion? Council President Mertz?
So there's many potential impacts of 976. The one that I most want to speak about is the impact on Sound Transit. $20 billion net effect would be devastating. It's the wrong move for the region, which desperately needs to help accommodate the growth that's already occurred, more transit. It'd be wrong for Issaquah in particular. I believe it would require a ground-up recreation of our long-term plans for the city, because I don't think we can have all the work that's happened in the last decade to plan for the growth that's already occurred, and the growth that's coming would have to, I think, be clean sheeted. Taxes are, one of the things I've learned before I became an elected official is I thought sort of that the world had the people who were concerned about taxes and the people who were unconcerned about taxes. Everybody's concerned about taxes. It's just different people have different opinions as to how their taxes should be used. But all residents want to know that you care about their money and that you're making good investments for their money. And one of the arguments in this case has been, well, the best and highest function of government is to go ask the people directly. We've already done that, right? In 2016, we did ask the people directly, and the residents of King County voted to approve this. The residents of Issaquah voted to approve this. The residents of the 5th Legislative District voted to approve this. This has support in our community, so I feel very confident supporting the motion that I've made this evening. Thank you.
Councilmember Winterstein?
Thank you. There's two reasons I'm supporting this resolution against I-976. First is I believe it, and this is the supporters of 976 keep talking about people saying we elected people are making threats. It's not a threat. If you don't have the money, you can't do the project. We know by a lot of traffic analysis that's happening around here that the future of Issaquah livability is going to be tied to whether or not we get light rail or not. This goes through, the chances of us getting light rail are very, very real. That's what homes do. That's what businesses do. If there's a revenue shortfall, you make adjustments, and that's what would happen here. That's a logical consequence of this, and I think that would be disastrous long-term for this community. The second reason is the structure of this bill is completely wrong. A big push on the vote yes for this has to do with the government of artificially inflating value of vehicles. That only pertains to the RTA, the Regional Tax Authority, right here related to Sound Transit. That's what this is a push against. That was voted by members and people, legal voters within the RTA area. That's us, and told a name to who these are. This initiative is statewide. This structurally has a problem. That means people, and there's something in it for a lot of different people. If you don't like the car tab fee, address a car tab fee. If there's something else about MVET or the weight-related one, do something about rate-related. But to put all these together and put the risk of something that this region voted for and allow voters throughout the state to have a say in whether or not that continues is structurally wrong. So that's the second reason I'm against this initiative.
Thank you, Councilmember Bernstein. Councilmember Ray?
So I think it's pretty clear that transportation may be the single biggest issue facing our community today. I-976 reduces current and future funding for existing and long-term initiatives. Current initiatives that rely on transportation funding are necessary to solve our transportation problems, and I think we've heard about this from President Martz and Councilmember Winterstein. And also, and I think maybe more important to me, is we need to have the tools in our toolkit to enable us to address some of the issues to improve transportation locally. And this would take many of those tools away from us.
Thank you, Councilmember Ray. Deputy Council President Batiste, and then Councilmember Walsh.
So I am in support of this resolution to express opposition to I-976. This initiative, I believe, would have enormous negative impact on our city, on Issaquah, throughout King County, and throughout the whole state. We hear daily about transportation problems in our area and throughout the region, increasing traffic, and I really do believe that this is another initiative that is a complete setback yet again to where we need to go with future transportation. And taking that revenue stream away, I just think is going to have such a huge impact in those areas. Our local projects, our state projects, and Sound Transit are depending on this revenue stream. And for that reason, I would really urge everyone to take a very, very close look at all of the details behind this so they could really understand. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Walsh.
Thank you. I also am in support of this resolution against I-976. I think when we think about the state's ability to repave roads, to take care of the very essential roadways that all of us use, that would be devastated by this. The ability to maintain our bridges would be devastated by this. Seattle uses this car tax extensively to provide 350,000 bus trips. And that would be devastated by this. And that's not a tax that we pay. That's a tax that Seattleites pay that we get to benefit from if we are going into Seattle for work or play. All of these things, it's just such a huge effect, even outside of the city of Issaquah, for us as a region and a state. So I would agree, let's support this resolution against I-976.
Thank you, Councilmember Walsh. Councilmember Hunt?
Thank you. I agree with what my colleagues have said thus far, and so I won't repeat those points, but two additional points why I would support this resolution against the initiative are that, firstly, our community increasingly does want to have public transit options that are efficient and that get them to where they need to be. In the Strategic Climate Action Plan for King County, In 2016, Metro Transit ridership continued near record levels, and they had the highest growth of transit use of any large U.S. metro area. So people in our region want to use public transit, and we would put that at risk. And then additionally, I think there are many local effects, and some of the ones that weren't mentioned were there are risks to fund sidewalks. This is something that is a major concern to a number of residents that I've heard from directly, and then also rapid ride services and paratransit services. So these are not the kind of services that we can put in jeopardy for our community.
Thank you for those additional points. Councilmember Goodman.
Thank you. I support the resolution as well. The initiative would have devastating impacts, far-reaching, both locally and statewide. I haven't heard one positive thing in everything I've listened to in the time that this has been out in the media, and so I hope that voters are listening and that they will vote against it as we are standing against it tonight.
Thank you, Councilmember Goodman. Is there any other discussion? If not, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approving resolution number 2019-13, opposing initiative measure number 976 concerning motor vehicle taxes and fees, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. That passes unanimously. So just as a reminder, this evening at 7 o'clock, there is a council budget study session occurring in this room in 4 minutes. I'm going to call for a slight break, a 5-minute break, so that you just have time to relocate yourself down to the table if you want. So there being no further meeting business, the meeting is adjourned at 7:57. 6:57.